Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Landra Pierce, and I'm a part of the product strategy team here at Veeam as a technologist. And today I'm joined with my colleague, Rick Vanover.
Thanks, Landra. Welcome everyone to the online experience of VeeamON. This is a very high interest session. I'm so glad you're all here. We have a lot to cover, and this is the first part of our journey for the online experience at VeeamON. We've got a lot to cover. Let's jump into it.
So let's take a quick look at the agenda first. So we're going to kick things off first with Veeam Data Platform. What is it? And then we're going to dive into our upcoming Veeam Backup and Replication, which is now going to be able to run on Linux. So this is exciting for those that are a primary Linux shop. Next, we're going to talk about Veeam ONE, which is our monitoring and reporting tool, and some fresh new updates with that. Then we're going to cover Veeam Recovery Orchestrator. Now, that's a powerful tool that's automated for reliable recovery, and we have some new features coming up with that product. Then we have the Recon scanner by Coveware, which is an essential part of our ransomware response toolkit. And then finally, we'll take a look at our future roadmap. But first, let's talk about what is the Veeam Data Platform.
And you know, Landra, when I look at the diagram for Veeam Data Platform, I look that there's a lot of things that we do protect, but one of my favorites are the APIs. This provides deep integration to the different services we protect and where we put our backup data. So this is a really exciting platform, but kind of tell us where we are now with it.
Yeah, for sure. So the first place I want to start is Backup and Recovery, which is our flagship product, Veeam Backup and Replication. It's going to provide you fast, flexible, reliable backup and restore capabilities of your virtual machines, cloud-based workloads, physical servers, applications, and even SaaS products like Salesforce or even Microsoft 365. Then we have our monitoring and analytics tool, which is ran by Veeam ONE. It's going to give you real-time visibility alerts. So that way you can stay ahead of any issues. And next we have the Recovery Orchestrator, which is used for automated recovery at scale. So whether your data lives on-prem or even in the cloud or across multiple platforms, Veeam is going to help keep you covered end to end.
I love it also because we can also run this on-prem, in the cloud, and as a service through our service provider partners. But then we look at the platform. There's really this notion of a foundation of just taking those backups, but then really going next level with some resilience capabilities and then taking it to the enterprise. These are individual features along the bottom. And as you climb the ladder, lack of a better word, across the different editions that Veeam has on offer for Veeam Data Platform, you'll see that the kind of enterprise premium packaging brings all of those capabilities to life. Now, I talk to a lot of people that are really trying to increase their resiliency and progress through. And it honestly matches the keynote from yesterday with the data resilience maturity model, or DRMM, that we're talking, and these features map perfectly to it. So I think it's really important to note that as you in an organization running your IT and your data protection practice, are you on the journey of improving your resiliency, we have to map the features to it. So it's really exciting in that regard. Now, I know we're all here and interested in what's coming with Veeam Data Platform. I have some great demos on the Wednesday keynote, but let's take a look first on what's coming with Veeam Backup and Replication.
For those of you who are new to Veeam, or some that are or should I say, long-time Veeamers, Veeam was actually established in 2006. That's when it was founded, and primarily Veeam supported VMware environments, becoming the first ever agentless backup solution for vSphere. Rick, do you remember back in the day when it looked like this?
I do, and, I'm in my 15th year here on the Veeam product team, and I remember, on the left is version 5, which was the first. Actually, I used version 4,
Mm.
But version 5, so I used 4 when I was a customer, and then I used 5 when I joined Veeam. Yeah, that was it. And over on the right is when I think that was version 1. I had to look really hard to find that on the internet. And
Yeah, it took some digging.
yeah, and, in 2008, we had version 1 come out. First 2 years were actually just capabilities that are now Veeam ONE, but it was so centered on that virtualization backup. And the reality is, and I wanna draw everyone's attention to the Veeam is More, session that myself and Billy Cashwell did, where we really say, "Look at all the stuff we do." And, I granted, these are old looks at the interface, but we're really excited to bring kinda some new looks.
Yeah, so hopping right into Veeam Backup and Replication running on Linux, we actually introduced an ISO-based deployment for it, for Linux. So it's ultimately designed for, simplified, standardized installation for Linux, proxies, as well as the hardened repositories. But this approach offers a appliance-like experience. So it adheres to the Linux kernel best practices. So it's assuring that there's stability, security, and ease of management. But it's derived, or basically, it's going to be running on Rocky Linux, which is actually derived from Red Hat. But I mean, this is ultimately a streamlined, purpose built deployment model, reducing configuration overhead while aligning still with the hardened security.
What I like about this, Landra, is the modern software appliance, just as a name. Let me first of all give everyone a definition. The modern software appliance is the next version of Veeam Backup and Replication. And that running on Linux is the preview that we have here. And, the thought here is all the work we've done with the Veeam hardened repository. In fact, I think it was VeeamON 2022, 23, and 24. We really had a great progression of innovations of that, which led us to a lot of shared technology to bring it to Veeam Backup and Replication. And the hardened repository had one thing that we all really liked, and that was a really uh, strong built-in security profile. And tell me how we're taking that to the modern software appliance.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I do want to also mention is that this deployment is also secure by default. So it eliminates the unnecessary packaging and abstracting the OS level complexity. So local user accounts manage access. So services restart automatically as needed, and logs will also be collected with this as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited because we're making that security profile really easy for organizations to have that Veeam server in a very locked down environment. But we also are taking some of these security constructs to the different roles associated with the deployment of Veeam. In fact, we've had RBAC, but we've really upped the game and taken it down to new items here.
Going to the granular role-based access, I mean, security isn't just about protecting data, right? It's also about controlling who can do what. So with the new or granular role-based access control, now it gives users the ability to delegate what users will have the ability to create a backup, what users will be able to restore. Maybe you don't want to have the backup admin being able to restore certain critical data. So you now have that flexibility. But also, I mean, RBAC can be applied across the entire environment now. So whether that's a hypervisor, agents, file shares, or just the individual backup job, I mean, this level of control really helps align with the principle of least privileges. And we can also limit the restore scope too, meaning that users can be allowed to restore only data from specific locations, backup jobs, or even define backup sources. So it's a more flexible, secure way of delegating, with minimizing the risk itself.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this one. And when I spoke to some of the leads on this particular capability, they mentioned how it's implemented at the core. So as low as it gets, so all the objects are represented with this. And I should highlight this will exist both in the Modern Software Appliance Linux edition, but also the Windows. I'll come back to kind of what goes where, but I want to highlight that's going to exist in both modes of consumption. But here's a new capability that is only on Linux, but I think a lot of people will be excited for this one.
Oh, yeah. So, to further enhance security and accountability, we now have or implemented Four Eyes authentication model with the high availability model. So, this means whenever a critical event is generated, like a sensitive restore or a configuration change, it's going to require a second set of eyes, which is going to come from your security administrator. So they'll get notified, they'll get immediately involved, basically assuring that they have full oversight on high impact actions. Now, this deployment is also active passive configuration, really designed to operate reliability or reliably, even in high, latency as well. That makes it ideal for large or decentralized infrastructures.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this one, and I've talked to some customers who have been really looking forward to this HA and then the security administrator role. And these are all just, part of these enhancements that are going across the capability set of Veeam backup and replication. But concurrently, it's not just on Linux, but there's also a lot of new capabilities and enhanced capabilities. One of the big new ones is the web UI, which I think is beautiful. And I think a lot of people are really going to like this new user interface. The one thing I'll say about the web UI is that this will be available on both Windows and Linux, and there will still be the Windows app, that thick client, but this will be an additional way to administer Veeam backup and replication, and it's going to feed in some of the Veeam ONE information as well. It's reasonable to expect upon, the future releases that organizations will use both the web UI and the Windows app for a while. And I think there'll be a time that the web UI has full feature parity. So super excited for this one. And, a lot more to come with Veeam backup and replication. Be sure to watch on the virtual experience a couple weeks later, the deeper dive session as well. And we showed a few things in the general session about Veeam backup and replication v13. One of the next big parts of Veeam Data Platform that we're going to talk about is Veeam ONE. And if you didn't already, make sure that you check out the session that I did with Kirsten of the top 10 prompts for Veeam Intelligence, where we just did basically an old demo session of how that works. That's pretty cool. Now, one of the things about Veeam ONE that everyone needs to know is that we're really working a lot to improve the security and scalability. I think that if you look at what Veeam ONE's done over the years, this is super impactful. Everything from Threat Center to Veeam Intelligence and more. And I like to say, have you seen Veeam ONE lately? Heck, have you seen Veeam lately? All the things that we're doing. A couple of points on the left to look at here. The one thing I want to draw your attention to is the Postgres instance for data warehousing. You might say, I thought the Veeam ONE database was SQL. It is, but we are on a journey with our products to, everything from Linux options to performance and more. These report services we found are ultra fast for building some of these custom reports, especially when you think about Veeam Intelligence guiding customers through that. So really excited for that. Another thing that's important is just simply modernizing the experiences, really across the portfolio. And that's more than just Veeam Data Platform. If you see what's going on with Veeam Data Cloud, we showed some of that in the general session, but a new user experience, a modern, refreshed, and honestly, kind of pretty user experience is also part of what's coming in Veeam ONE. One that I want to highlight here is just that the alarms are coming into this because currently with 12.3, you have to go into the Veeam ONE uh, Windows app. I want to call it Monitor. Used to be Monitor. What does Veeam ONE stand for? Piece of trivia. It is Monitor, Reporter, and Business View in one package, right? but it's kind of blurry now, right? Veeam ONE is the one source of truth, lack of a better word, of what's going on in your environment. So, a couple other points here on the left, but here's just a quick look at the new user experience. I do want to also, let's move on to the next slide, talk about some of these quick reports here. So, this Postgres instance that I spoke about here a second ago really helps dynamically make these reports quickly. And in this little drop down here, you can see you can get some of this information, license and backup proxies, and you can get this all pretty quickly. Now, there's also, especially for those of you who have done it before, the clean CSV export. A lot of people are going to like that. If you've ever had to do that, it's a lot more user friendly. And the other side of it is, keep in mind, Veeam Intelligence can help you output some of this into the formats that you want as well, to make it really easy to get some of this information at your fingertips. And keep in mind that Veeam Intelligence is natural language processing. It can guide you through what it's looking for. So super excited for what's coming with Veeam ONE.
All right. So let's get the discussion around Veeam Recovery Orchestrator and what's new with the Recovery Orchestrator. So with this new release, Veeam introduced a powerful cross-platform capability. So now it not only supports VMware, but it also supports Nutanix AHV, where now you can actually take and restore a VMware backup to AHV location, making it easier for migration. Now, um, Nutanix is a built-in virtualization platform for those who are unaware, and it's centrally managed through Prism Central. But you can also restore, AHV VMs to, or AHV backups to other AHV clusters, which is ideal for DR scenarios, migrations, and also site-to-site recovery. But these features now support Nutanix clusters, under the Prism Central, and ultimately it allows you to recover platforms if your primary environment is unavailable.
What I like about this one, Landra, is this is really a journey of the orchestrator product. We initially started VMware Backup to VMware Recoveries. Then we added replication, and actually it was replication and then backup, and then storage snapshots and CDP. And then earlier in 25, we allowed Hyper-V as a target. And then this next release that's coming soon will pull in Nutanix. And then there's cloud and agents, right? So the orchestrator is a really versatile platform, especially with all those custom scripts and steps that it can do. So really excited for this one. Later in the year, the Nutanix platform will be in scope with the orchestrator. All right, next part of our platform, and this is a unique part, the Recon scanner. This was built off of the Coveware acquisition of 2024 that we made. And this really is an absolute differentiator. Recon, or I should say Coveware by Veeam, is the actually, let me explain that, because a lot of people get all confused. Veeam Cybersecure is a packaging of Veeam Data Platform Premium, including the Coveware software stack and a retainer of their expertise for incident response. Coveware by Veeam is a software stack which includes Recon. It includes some additional tools. It has a data pipeline and intelligence profiles on the threat scape, and it also has the unique ability to have in-house incident response. Okay, so Veeam Cybersecure is that, and Coveware by Veeam is that. This is one of the software packages, Recon Scanner, that organizations really love to have in their environment for some expansion and like additional information about what is happening. So Coveware Recon, that tool, the scanner, has expanded support for Veeam Data Platform deployment that goes across the kind of the core roles, backup repositories, proxies, and gateways. And I remember throughout, I guess it was 24, we were doing a lot of baselining. What's normal for a Veeam backup and replication server and the different components, because we were going to feed it into this. Also, Active Directory, really important there. Also, the Recon scanner tool is really good about collecting VBR specific information and activity there. And then other than VBR servers, it's looking at some of the server level activity on the components such as Active Directory. Really excited for that. Now, it's also going to be available for Linux, okay, coming up soon. This is exciting in that it'll really be just one of these components that you can download and run, and a couple of different profile bits here on what it is supported upon. And Rocky Linux is good. So we've been doing a lot there. I'm not really a Linux guru, but those who want it for Recon Scanner will be super happy for it. Now, this is just the start of your journey, but we also want to, walk you through kind of the next steps. And so, Landra, tell us some information about what people need to know going forward.
Yeah, so we're continuing to broaden our support, not just, within the traditional, data centers, right? But also across other cloud environments as well. So this means more flexibility, you get more visibility. I mean, stronger protection no matter where your workloads live. And then you also have the, advanced Veeam-based malware detection for a wider range of platforms that we're going to be expanding on too. Um, but we're not just stopping there. I mean, the integrations are expanding too. I mean, as you can tell, just from the years of Veeam's growth, I mean, again, we went from VMware, Hyper-V, Nutanix, and Veeam to Proxmox, and so much more. And I mean, we're not just covering virtual machines, but we're also covering cloud-based workloads, applications, and SaaS products as well. So we're continuing expanding our integrations. But I do also want to encourage everyone, make your voice heard. Work with your Veeam team. If you haven't already, please engage with the Veeam community. We have our community forums page, we have Reddit, etc., that we're present on. But also provide us with use cases and feedback on the R&D forum. They're always responding to customers, and you can gain a lot of insight from any of those forums as well.
Yeah, indeed. I'm going to go off script. That's what I do, everybody. I just want everyone to know about that community hub. If you don't know, it's community.veeam.com. And when we're thinking about V13, you could just go in here and search V13. And you know what? You'll get some of the topics that people are talking about. Some of these are in different groups, like the Italy user group, right? So it's going to be in Italian. But here's Shane with a really good one on preparation, right? So definitely check out those resources, which they are available free right now, and they're a really good way for you to get started. So let me also kind of walk you through the rest of the VeeamON experience and some pretty important information. I'm going to start with a QR code. I don't know if you're like me, but I always seem to go right to the QR code. So I did verify this QR code does work. And it is, I'm going to pull it up on the other screen and pull it right over here. I just want to highlight that there are some deprecated features of V12. So I have that linked in the QR code, but little things like reversed incremental mode are going to be deprecated, some agents, etc. So definitely give that all a read ahead of time before you go in for the upgrade. We don't want any surprises. And I do want to highlight two other VeeamON sessions. The online session that Kirsten and I did, the top 10 prompts for Veeam Intelligence, ready to go on the virtual platform. Check it out. And the other session that I want to draw your attention to is the Veeam Data Platform V13 Deeper Dive. Now, that one is only available in the San Diego Experience Live, but that one's recorded. So that'll be on this very same virtual platform in about 2 weeks, I think, is the internal target. And so coming soon will be the modern software appliance, which is Linux version of Veeam Backup and Replication v13, as well as Veeam ONE v13. So there is a lot going on in regards to products and product pipeline. But Landra, thank you so much for joining me here today on our session.
Thank you, Rick. And thank you all for joining today's session. I hope you gained a lot of insight and have a great takeaway.
Indeed. All right, everyone, that concludes this session. Enjoy the rest of VeeamON.